I'm seeing some stuff. He seems well versed in the world, or at least he cares about worldly topics, which is always good.
He is. I like listening to his podcast every now and then.
You know what? I'm going to listen to his podcast now.
If you're like into drugs and stuff or UFC, like he's really good. But like he has like other stuff. I learned a lot of stuff from his podcast. I don't listen to him as much now just because like they're like 3 hours long, and I'm like, I really can't do this. But he has some. Yeah, some good stuff.
I find that there's like a really good, like my time frame for or length of a podcast that I could listen to is anywhere from like, well, obviously on the low end is fine, but anywhere above like an hour, hour and a half, like it starts getting like, fuck, you're long-winded, just shut the fuck up, you know?
Like, how do you have so much to say?
Yeah. You need a second podcast is what you need at that point.
Right. Okay. We should probably get started.
Oh, yeah. How are we already off topic and we haven't even started?
I know.
That's impressive.
I think it just speaks volumes about our friendship.
I think so also, yeah.
I was like, oh, he's really silent, so maybe not.
Or lack thereof. All right.
Hey, guys. Welcome to Roger That. My good friend Roger is joining me again for the second time.
Hello.
Welcome, Roger.
Well, thank you for having me again, and thanks for putting up with my oh, we can do it this time. Oh, let's do it this time schedule. So
it's okay. Luckily, I don't have a life, so I'm very flexible with times.
I don't know. I see your Instagram and Snapchats, and I'm just saying.
It's all fake. It's all fake news.
Well, hold on. But also, where was this chicken challenge? Was that just like an ad hoc like test? What was up with that?
So funny thing, this guy that I'm, I guess, sleeping with. That's like the most accurate description for what we are.
Why does every story start like that?
I know. That's my life, basically. So he wanted to. Somehow we got on topic about chicken. And so, like, he was telling me about, like, how much he likes Cane's. And I was like, ew, fucking Cane's? Like, Cane's is, like, basic white girl, right? And so, like, I was telling him about all these other chicken places, and he had never tried them. And I was like, okay, well, we're going to try them. So we decided to do, like, a chicken finger challenge to see which chicken was the best.
Nice. Okay, so don't keep us in suspense. Which one was it?
It was golden chicken.
Whoa!
It had the best chicken. And I never even heard of golden chicken until like maybe 3 months ago. But it was the best. It was the winner. It was tender. It was just good. I don't know how else to explain it. Like well seasoned, well fried. It just overall, it just like gave you this pleasant feeling, like everything was right in the world while you were eating it.
Now, I want to say that was your decision, right? Or was that y'all general consensus? Or did he have another one? Obviously, he came with the Raising Cane's up front, but after this very scientific test that you did, like what
it's totally scientific.
Yeah, right. Where did it lie for him at that point?
So what I asked him, so like what we did was we like took like maybe 2 bites out of each one. And so we did it plain, and then we did it with like the different sauces. And so like after, I was like, okay, so like rank your favorite chicken tender from least to favorite. And so his it was golden chicken. He said that Cane's and Zaxby's were tied. Third was Bush's chicken, and the fourth one was Bush's chicken, and the fifth one was Chicken Express. And so that was his rankings. Mine were golden chicken, Bush's chicken, Zaxby's, Raising Cane, and I didn't even rate Chicken Express because it was so fucking disgusting. It had like this nasty ass aftertaste. It was so gross. So general consensus.
But hold on. Did you do like is this a blind study, a double blind study? Like, did he know going in which one was? Obviously, he's gonna. If he's had canes before, he can kind of tell the difference, right? Or if he's had another one. But did he know which one he was getting? Also, double blind. Did you know which one you were giving him? Also, because that could influence a test case. Also, just wondering how well thought out this was.
Yeah. So I was going to just put them all on a plate and we try them, but like 3 of them looked exactly alike, so I wouldn't have been able to tell.
Got it.
So we actually just left them in the box that they came in and just tried it that way.
Just trying to get a feel for it. Sounds good. Well, I'm going to have to take your recommendation. I just looked it up in Houston. There are none that I could find.
Aww.
So yeah, sucks.
Well, you know, if you ever come up to Austin, I'll treat you out to some golden chicken. My treat.
Only if I can be the third wheel to this date thing that you got going with this guy. That'd be great. I love being. I like to say I'm a professional third wheel. I can just get in any type of. Like, I love going on dates with other people. My roommate went on this date one time, and I totally, actually multiple times, I totally just go and crash and then have a fun time with them, you know? I just love doing that. Being involved.
That's so interesting.
so.
You may be like the only person in the world who likes being a third wheel.
I enjoy it. You know what else I enjoy?
What's that?
This week in Donald Trump's tweets. Oh, man. I love it. I love it.
He is something else.
I like it when my commander-in-chief just goes on Twitter rants with random, with random people, with his own party, with other parties, with people of other nations. That's when I'm impressed. When your Twitter rant is international and you're talking shit to, like, not only the current president, but the former president of Mexico, that's just pretty impressive to me.
I feel like Donald Trump and I are kindred spirits in the fact that I also go on rants, but on Snapchat.
You do?
So we have...
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, we have that in common. Like, that's probably the only thing.
I've noticed that lately, and I don't see a lot of people doing that, but I enjoy that, But I also like how you give, like, the all clear, like, okay, rant over. Because sometimes I'm still waiting for it to go. And then, like,
yeah, like, is there more?
Yeah, and, like, 2 hours passes and you fucking post your dogma. Oh, well, you left me in suspense for 2 hours. I guess that was it,
Yeah, I try to keep my fans pleased, and, I don't want you guys hanging on to see what I have to rant about when it's over.
So what I'm hearing is next Donald Trump has to start a Snapchat, and then he'll do, like, a rant on Snapchat. You can just tap into his story. I would fucking watch that shit in a second.
I don't know that I would. I don't know that I can take much more of him in that regard. So, let's see. So his, I don't even know, his tweets.
Sorry, that was my dogs. Which tweet in particular are you looking at, though? I mean, out of the multitude of tweets that he's actually had for us, is there one that hit maybe a sweet spot for you?
Not one in particular, but one will definitely segue us into his executive orders. So one that I'm looking at now is about the Christians being executed in large numbers in the Middle East. One thing I like to note is Middle East is not hyphenated, so
Christians in the Middle East have been executed in large numbers. We cannot allow this horror to continue. That was 11 hours ago as of tonight. Wow, I like it.
So you sent me an NPR thing, and I was reading it, and it was like, kind of not true. Like, yes, they are being executed in large numbers, I suppose, but it's mostly Muslims. I don't know. I just can't get with his, like, half-truths.
I think, and that's kind of for me, like, once we start believing half-truths, where does it stop, Like, are we going to allow that going forward? Like, do we not have to have everything there for us, before we start just accepting all this stuff, But maybe in his world, it's not half-truth. Maybe it is truth. And that, to me, is maybe a scarier part of that conversation,
So, actually, truth is subjective. Like, my truth can be different from your truth. So, maybe I should say his alternate facts tweet. Maybe that's more accurate. He has one It's the coverage about me in the New York Times and Washington Post. Gas, been so false and angry that the Times actually apologized to it. So he spelled the word the wrong, and he put in gas. I think he was supposed to put in has. I just like, this is our leader. You can't take a second to like just double check what you're writing.
Well, you know, when you're taking a shit and you really have something to say, you know, you kind of just don't double check yourself until you see it later and you're like, ah, damn, well, I already posted it, so I can't take it back now.
Yes, you can. You totally can. That's the great thing about social media. You can take it down and you can retweet. I mean, you can tweet out the exact same thing, and you'll still get people that will like it and retweet it and comment on it.
Yeah, I guess that's also true.
Man,
he's also very uplifting, though. On, you know, January 27th, the hashtag March for Life is so important to all of you marching. You have my full support. I mean, you know, that's very uplifting, and that's very, yeah, you know. So maybe
did he tweet that? Well. Did he tweet that out about the women's march?
I actually don't see that, but that just might be me not knowing how to search for stuff.
I just kind of feel like he did. You know?
I did not hear of anything like that. I think he should.
I'm gonna say not surprising. I don't know. Whatever, dude. Whatever.
Oh man, January 24th, big day plan on national security tomorrow. Among many other things, we will build the wall. Oof, man.
So I was watching this comedy special today with this Mexican chick. I already forgot her name, but she was like, "Go ahead, dude. Build a wall as high as you want to. We've been digging tunnels this whole time." And then she said something else, and she was like, "You know, Trump is trying to like keep us out, but all he's really doing is like preparing us to be in the Olympics." He was like, "We gotta jump, we gotta dig, we gotta swim. It's like we're gonna be like the best triathletes in the world." And I was like, "Damn,
that's true."
Oh goodness,
so true.
Yeah. She said it much better than I did. Obviously, she rehearsed it. I'm just like summarizing what I heard. But anyways, you know what though? So like, I actually wanted to talk about. I heard this story on actually conservative news station that I listen to from time to time, and it was about Facebook and free speech. And so obviously, Donald Trump loves his First Amendment rights that he uses very often on Twitter. But this story that I heard is pretty interesting, I guess. There was this, you may have heard about it. I think she's a principal in Katy, and she posted on her personal Facebook page something about, you know, how could we elect this moron, blah, 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 blah. And so, a parent or a grandparent got upset and took it to the news. So like there's this whole thing about should she be fired. And I was like, what? And a lot of people were calling in saying, you know, oh, she also said something about his inauguration. She's like nothing but a sea of white faces.
Oh wow.
And so like people were calling in. I was like, well, she's probably racist, and she'll probably, you know, take out her views on the children and like all this stuff. And I was like, first of all, she's the fucking principal. Like, I don't even know what a principal does, but I'm pretty sure that most things come from the teachers. You know, like the teachers have their lesson plans that I believe come from like the superintendent, you know, like, and maybe the principal reviews it, but the teacher is in charge of the lesson plans, the disciplinary actions in their classrooms. And I just feel like the principal is just there to oversee everything.
Yeah, I guess I can agree with that, but also it's kind of like a top-down approach, right? I mean, the principal, or maybe even a step higher, like the superintendent or dean of students or whatever, they kind of set the precedence for the rest of the school to run, right? It's just like any business. If there's a top-down approach, you know, the management kind of sets a tone that the workers then follow. So maybe, you know, it could be possible that she was, you know, maybe hiring teachers that fell in line with what she thought, or, you know, they still have a lot of say, I think, in what goes on in a school. But honestly, I only saw my principal when I was in trouble. So, you know, maybe they just did a reprimand and look at the hallways and yell at people.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I never saw my principal unless they were like walking down the hall, or I'm like in the office, you know, like getting a late excuse or something.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
I don't know, like I was kind of like put off by like all the people that were calling in. Like obviously they were conservatives, and you know, like they were basically like the white people who feel like their liberties have been infringed upon because a black person is principal and she doesn't agree with the commander-in-chief. But my whole thing is, first of all, she put this on her personal Facebook page. She didn't put it on the school page. She didn't make an announcement, you know, over the intercom, your morning announcements after your prayer and your pledge of allegiance or whatever it is people do in school these days. You know, she was just saying how she felt. And I bet these same people were people who were bashing Obama, and they didn't have an issue with what they were doing. But if somebody comes out against President Trump, then it's an issue. And then, oh, she's probably a racist, and oh, she'll probably show more favor to black students than she will other races. To me, I don't think it's fair to make that connection. You know, like if I don't agree with somebody, that doesn't necessarily mean that I support something else just because I disagree with one thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that makes a lot of sense. But also, like, the freedom of speech is not, you know, like they say, the freedom from consequences. Like, you can say whatever you want. She has every right to say anything that she wants. But then how you know, other people are going to take and misinterpret or interpret it their own way is totally different, you know. So there's always a disconnect there. But, you know, a lot of people take, you know, they're sensitive to, you know, their kids being in, you know, situations like that, you know. I don't know how I would take my kid being in a school where I didn't necessarily agree with their religious or not religious, but political views, you know. Get my kid out of there.
Yeah, I think, I guess, like, from my experience, like, I had so much time interfacing with my teachers that if my teachers were that way, it'd be different than the principal, who I never saw and never spoke to, and don't even remember any of my principal's names, because, like, that's just how little of an influence they had on me.
Yeah,
and also,
that's a good point.
Yeah, and also I think we should be able to separate our personal feelings from work. And I think if she had a track record of, you know, like being lenient towards certain students and being stricter with others, then you have a case. But other than that, like, who the fuck I don't personally care, but, you know, like, who the fuck cares? That's just my opinion. Oh, I Googled principal, and it says they manage the budget, make sure facilities are safe, they meet with teachers and parents to measure progress, they support teacher in their disciplinary decisions. Mostly,
right?
Yeah. So yeah, whatever. I don't know. This happened in Texas. Yeah, Texas is just full of a bunch of racist ass people.
Fucking Texas. Fucking Texas.
That I fought so hard to get to.
So I take it you're not enjoying Texas since you've been back? Well, you've been back, what, a month now? Or maybe more?
Yeah. East Coast, I think, is definitely more my flavor, which is so crazy because I never thought that I would like the East Coast. They just all seem like pricks.
What is that? Does that mean that you're a prick? Hold on.
Wait. Revelation.
Boom.
Maybe that's what it is.
But we got so much land out here. How can you get away from that? We got so much land.
You know what, I do like Texas because the economy is pretty awesome and the cost of living is great compared to everywhere else. But yeah, but everything else, I'm like, ugh.
But you live next to Austin, like one of like the most progressive cities in like America, right? Like, it's not really Texas.
It's not, but also it's still pretty conservative. You know, like, it's liberal for Texas, but if you put it next to other, liberal progressive cities, it'd probably be towards the bottom of the list.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I only see it in pieces of, remembering not being drunk, So usually every time I'm in Austin, I am fucking wasted. So I guess when you're wasted, everybody seems progressive. I remember I was drunk and I had a decision, and it was like, oh my God, I can use both of these restrooms. This is insane. So I went into both of them.
Why?
just because I could. There was like a picture of like man, woman, and like something else, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
It was a unisex one.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Fucking love that shit. I could pee anywhere I want to pee.
So you mentioned something about religious beliefs earlier.
Oh yeah. But that,
yeah,
I guess that,
like. Oh, what were you saying?
No, like in our conversation now or before in general?
Yeah, now. I was going to segue into a date that I had today.
A religious date? Did y'all go to church?
No, we did not go to church.
Oh.
So basically, this is really for me like a question of dating etiquette. So we grabbed coffee, and the date was going okay. Like it wasn't horrible or anything. It was decent. I'd already met him before, a few months ago, before I went to DC, and we were just like, reconnecting. And at some point during the date, he asked if I went to church up here where I stay, and I was like, no. And he was like, do you go to church at all? And I was like, no. He was like, are you religious? No. And so then we got into this conversation about religion, and it was kind of off-putting for me, because I was like, is this something you should bring up on technically a first date? This was like our first like alone together date. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like to me, I don't know, like, like how they say you never talk about religion and politics. And I just feel like it's kind of one of those things that on a first date, like it could either totally maybe damage your perception of that person, or it was just, so obviously he was religious, which is why he was asking. And I was like telling him my story of like how I grew up Southern Baptist, and how once I came of age, like, I separated from the church, like I realized it wasn't for me. And he said this one thing that I just like really wanted to like stab him in the eyeball when he said this. And he was like, maybe your eyes weren't open to the truth. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, okay. I was like, first of all, I was like, I have gone through my journey and I have dealt with this, and it took me a couple of years to come to the conclusion that religion wasn't for me. And I did what I felt was best, and I haven't looked back. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, and I just kind of like ended it there, because like it's not really a sore spot for me, but it's like one of those things, how like people are really passionate about their religion. I'm very passionate about my unreligion. And when he said that, I just felt like he would be one of those people that would like try to convert me.
Oh, yeah.
Or in little like undertones too, like very subliminally. And I was like, I don't have time for that. And so like I told him, I was like, I prefer not to talk about religion. This is a personal choice and I'm okay with it. And I was like, there are millions of other things to talk about besides religion. And I think when I said that, like he got the point, and he like changed the subject. But oh my goodness.
So I guess the important question is obviously like, when's the next date?
Right? A quarter to never.
But like everything else. Okay, so let's say that religion thing never came up. Would there have been a second date possibly?
Maybe. I'm still like trying to figure him out. Like he's okay, like he's cool, but I don't know that he would be like someone that I would want to date. Mm-hmm. And this is just based off like first impressions. Like he's somebody like, like I can go grab a cup of coffee with here and there, but I don't think he's anyone that I would want to pursue.
Gotcha.
So
totally understand that.
Yeah.
So you said this was recently, right?
Today?
Yeah. Oh, this was today. Okay. So
Yeah.
yesterday you were having a chicken date with the. Not, I'm guessing not this guy.
Correct.
Wow, that's pretty
And
impressive.
Friday
What?
I had another date.
So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, book solid.
Right, and I was supposed to have a date tomorrow, but that guy, he's being a total butthole.
A
It's
Monday
because he's
date?
hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well,
hot guys can be assholes though, but just same thing.
I
Hot girls
know,
can be
I know.
assholes, you know. But then what's the alternative? Date ugly? Like no, I'm sorry. That's not gonna happen.
You know, the funny thing is like this guy, like I'm so mad at him because like he was the one that's like, hey, are you coming back up here? And I was like, well, just let me know when you're free. I can come, whenever, because I don't mind being at his beck and call because he's that hot. But then like he just started like being really short with me, and I was like, fuck this dude. But in like 3 weeks he's probably gonna text me again and be like, yeah, when, where, how do you want me? Like I'm there for it all. But yeah,
all I heard was I can come whenever, and for some reason that just like so funny. That wasn't insensitive to me.
I could do that too. So yeah.
Oh shit! Some people.
He's
have
that
problems, some
he's
people don't.
he's that hot.
Oh yeah, just the
Yeah.
thought. Nice.
Just
Maybe like
the thought.
maybe after a while though he'll lose his luster. You know how like sometimes you're dating someone and then you kind of stop and then you kind of like, why was I even into that person? In the first place. No, he's so hot. No.
I think he's one of those, like, once I get over him, like, if I see a picture, I'm like, why did I let that go?
Do you have any
Even
exes
if it was
that already?
No.
No, but are you friends with any of your exes? Like, do you like have conversations with them still like regularly? Do you have any like that?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
So I think
yeah.
that's possible, right? Though, to be friends with exes.
I think you can be, but I almost feel like there has to be some, not necessarily like sexual attraction, but there has to be like some attraction that's still there that kind of like holds you two together. I get, like, I don't really know how to say it because like I'm friends with guys that obviously I'm not attracted to, and like that's why I'm friends with them, because I'm not attracted to them, and I know I won't jeopardize the friendship. But the exes that I have been friends with and that I'm currently friends with, like there's still a slight attraction, like even though like I would never go back to them, there's still something, like there's still something that I'm like attracted to.
Maybe you're just attracted to the friendship that grew out of that. Ooh. Versus, like the whole sexuality between them. But yeah, I think exes can be friends. Sometimes maybe not if they're hot, like super hot, because then, I at least me, if you're too attracted to somebody that's your friend, it's like, oh shit.
I actually strategically choose my guy friends
Nice.
as those that like I'm not that attracted to, because like I know I can keep like a level head. I don't know if the same can be said about how my guy friends feel about me, because there have been like some instances where like we're drunk and then they say something, I'm like, no, never happened. Ever. And that's not to like make it seem like I'm like super attractive or anything crazy, but that's just kind of the vibe that I've gotten from some of my guy friends.
I think sometimes definitely the girls can kind of see it, but as long as the girl stays strong and keeps it like as at a professional or friendly level, then hopefully the guy doesn't like pick up too much though. But I see that sometimes when I meet like a friend or something like that, maybe like a female friend who brings somebody like a dude there, like you can kind of just see how thirsty they are. Like, man, that dude really wants to take her. I feel so bad for him. I've seen that many times,
Yeah, and sometimes I could tell that like I'm oblivious to it until like I said, like if we're drunk or something, like then I can see it. But just like being sober, hanging out, like I don't see it. I'm just like, oh, they're just so nice. They're just like such good friends. And then we start drinking, and then it's like, oh, that's why he's so nice. Okay.
Yeah. If a guy goes
it
out
makes
of your
sense
way,
now.
Yeah, if a guy goes out of his way that things that he wouldn't do for a male friend, and vice versa, that's not a fucking friend. Like there's some ulterior motive. Like I'm gonna tell you, like I will not bring any of my male friends coffee at their job. You know, if I did that for a female, like, oh, he's such a good friend. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Sure he is.
Yeah. But I think, at least for me and like some of my exes, like we were friends before we dated. So like I think it's possible to be friends after, but I still think there has to be something there, because like even exes that I was friends with, like eventually just kind of like fizzled out. Like, you know, we just kind of went our own ways. And like for me, that's not a true friendship, because like your friendship isn't gonna like fizzle out after a couple of months. So like to me, something must have happened where that attraction was like lost, or you know, like one of us gets a new boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and then we kind of lose that attraction, and then we just kind of let the friendship, and I'm saying that in air quotes, fade away.
Yeah, I can almost hear your air quotes in your breath. You know, you kind of air quote that.
I'd say like a pause. Yeah, I like pause and then like say it a certain way.
I think actually for me it's a little bit opposite, because the Marine Corps kind of, or maybe because I'm out now and it's different being out and in, but a lot of the friends that I made, and I used air quotes also. I don't think I don't think you heard that the way I did in yours. But I I tried to stop while in the middle of the sentence, and it didn't work. But I did the air quotes with my hands. So, anyways, I think a lot of the friends that I made there, you know, that time I think I hit it pretty well. We don't talk a lot now, but at the time, you know, you were going through this with that person, and you know, you kind of build those bonds that for me, I don't have to conversate with them like every day or every, you know, week to still, you know, keep up with them. You know, that's why I think that social media stepped in and is a big part of why like I stay connected with people that I serve with, and that, you know, or live all over the world or all over their states at least now. So I can kind of be once removed from friends, and sometimes I'm like that anyways. Like I'm your friend, but I don't want to talk to you all the time, but I'll still be here if you need me. You know.
I know I'm that way all the time. I am
you are.
Worst person.
Yeah, you're a pretty bad friend, but I'm also like a bad friend in that sense. So that it's simpatico in that way, because we're both bad friends.
Yeah, that's why we get along so well.
I think so.
As I said in the last episode, we're both kind of shitty people. So
we
you know.
are both kind of shitty people, but that's fine.
I'm totally okay with it. Like I have no qualms being a shitty person. It's who I am.
Oh, I got you. So, but back to your friends from a relationship. I think for me at least, there has to be a grace period in between, right? Like you can't go from like broken up the next day being friends. Sometimes like if you don't talk for an extended period, and then like one of you kind of does the hey big head thing, you know, like a month or 2 months later, like there's enough time, depending on how long or how severe the relationship was or severe the breakup was, that then you start talking, and then after you're done with, you know, that whole awkwardness, you can kind of more or less become friends. And I actually have a few friends that are from like previous relationships, you know. So my wedding, if that ever happens, is gonna be so awkward, because there's gonna be like 90% of the women there I've fucking dated before, so it's gonna be super weird.
Like either dated or like slept with.
Oh yeah, for sure. My wife's gonna fucking hate that, but hopefully that never has to happen. Knock on wood.
So I have like a mandatory 90-day grace period before like I talk to my exes, and that like definitely gives me enough time to get over them, then like find myself, and then like decide I'm gonna go look for like fresh meat. And when I'm on that hunt for fresh meat, I can be their friends again, because like, you know, like that's not a priority. They are not a priority for me at that point.
You do sound like somebody who gets over guys quickly, though, right? Like, you do. It doesn't seem like you crush too hard too soon, you know? I mean, you went on, like, 3 dates in 2 days or some shit like that, so I'm guessing you can keep your feelings once removed from the conversation for a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at getting over guys. There are only 2 that I can think of that, like, completely devastated me, that, like, actually took me, like, over 3 weeks to get over.
Well, I thought you were gonna give me some like crazy like 6 months. That you were like, your long one is like 3 weeks. Oh my god, that's pretty good though. I like it though. I mean, you gotta be able to forget shit and leave it in the past, you know. I'm bringing up that old shit.
my whole thing is, I think the reason that I'm like that, I think, like, it really came from that relationship that I talked about last episode. So, like, once I got out of that relationship, like, that's when I told myself to never get too involved with anyone else. Like, I can fall in love again and I can care about somebody again, but, like, never let them get so deep into my feelings that, like, if they left me, I'd be, like, completely devastated. And so far it has worked out well as far as getting over guys. Obviously I'm still single, so, like, maybe I should open up more, but I'm kind of okay not opening up. Like, I would rather always, I guess, like, keep my sanity and, like, keep myself intact versus completely opening up and allowing someone to devastate me again. So I think that's why.
Yeah, that makes.
But it hasn't.
Sense. You got them. Yeah. You got those layers. You got those walls up a little bit, so they come down slowly, but not all at once, type thing. I got you. I hear you.
Yeah, and I think there's, like, one permanent wall that will, like, always be there, and, like, no one will ever be able to penetrate it.
And
that's for.
You get the right dick, and you're gonna be 10. You know what I'm saying? I've had sex so good one time. Let me just tell you my flaws and quirks now. Let me get this out in the open.
Like, let me open the book about me, just so you know. I've had some good dick since then, and I haven't fallen so hard. So I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, speaking of good dick, which I haven't had in a long time.
I love
freaking boring sex.
Good dick. Yeah. Oh, boring sex is the opposite. I think boring sex, you put more walls up. Like, that wall wasn't there before. I'm putting it up now. But here's my question: do people that aren't good at sex know that they're not good at sex?
See, okay, I don't think so, because I think people are so afraid of hurting people's feelings that they don't want to tell them. So this one guy that I was dating, we dated for like 3 years, and, like, when we first started having sex, it was okay. Like, it was like, oh, you're new, and I like you, and the sex is okay, so, like, I'll put up with it. But, after a while, like, after a year, like, I was just like, okay, this is not good. So, like, I, like, started dropping hints, like, oh, do it like this, or do this, or maybe try this, and he wasn't picking up on it. And so I, like, bought him, like, sex books for Christmas.
Wait, you bought your boyfriend a sex book for Christmas? That's like
that's 2.
Like the biggest hint. Tell me you bought him, like, other things also, right? Like, it just wasn't, like, 2 books on sex. Like, it was, you got him something else. Right?
Man, I can't remember. I'm sure I did.
Okay, thank goodness. Okay, but still,
I don't think I'm, like, that much of an a-hole.
I could see you just being like, here, read this. We're going to have a discussion later. There's going to be a test. It involves my labia.
Well, and, like, when I got him, I was like, hey, let's go through these together. I was like, like, let's try to figure out how to make sex more exciting. But he was, like, one of those guys, like, you can tell him anything. So he never opened up. We never read him. Long story short, I cheated on him with this guy who had great sex, and we broke up. So
nice. Sometimes that's the case, though. Bad sex can ruin a good relationship, but also good sex can make a bad relationship too. So the opposite is also true.
Yeah, I know.
I'll stay around for some good sex sometimes.
Oh, right, me too. I've done that before. Like,
she stole my watch, but that is some bomb pussy though. But she did steal my watch. Yes, she did.
I know, like, you are, like, the worst person ever, but this dick, though, is, like, from the gods.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. You'll put up.
I've been there a few. Oh yeah, I've been there a few times. Like, I have my limits, but I'll definitely, like, push those limits, like, just a little bit if the sex is that great. But I actually had boring sex a few weeks ago, and it was like.
What was so boring about it?
So this is. Well, let me back up. So we had sex, like, the week before, and we were, like, both, like, really drunk. And it was good. Yeah, it was okay. Whatever. Like, it was sex. I was drunk. I was horny. It didn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then, like, we hooked up again, and I wasn't as drunk, and it was just so boring. And like this is like totally TMI and not safe for work, by the way. But he was like fingering me with like one finger, and I was just like, this is like sticking a tampon in me, like this isn't doing anything. And he was just like on top of me, like breathing heavy, and it was just, that was it, you know, like for the beginning, like that was it. And like he like squeezed a boob, and it was just like so boring.
God.
And I was just like, I started thinking about like all the chores I had to do. Like, man, I have so much shit to do. Like, when is this over? Then I started thinking about this one guy that I had sex with like a few weeks ago, and I was like, man, like that guy was so good. Like, I should call him when I'm done with this.
The whole time he's like thrusting away and shit. This guy's put in some work, and you're just like, did I feed the dogs today? Twice or once? I don't remember.
And he was like talking to me and like asking me questions, and I was just like, what?
Was he asking you like trivia questions or some shit? What's the capital of Maine? Like, was he like talking some shit? You know, like some, you know, getting good stuff out of you.
Yeah, he was like, you know, you like this? This is good, or you know, like boring shit like that. And I was just like,
paid money for you to be like,
what?
Actually, I'm kind of bored right now. Oh, dude, that's.
I know.
So sad. So sorry.
I know.
Obviously, you have to give him another chance, though, right?
Well, I did twice. Never mind. I'm not gonna say too much to give it away. We still have sex. It is getting there.
Okay. Well, see, there you go. So sometimes, girl, I mean, you get that stallion. But sometimes you can make a stallion, right? I mean, Seabiscuit, I have only seen that movie once. But from what I remember, everyone counted him out. But, you know, he stuck with them, and I think he won whatever fucking race. Maybe that was a bad, you know, I was trying to go stallions and Mustangs. But anyways, you know, sometimes you just got to take that long shot and teach them, train them, you know, put in some work. Polish that gym up, girl. Polish it up. But also sometimes you just don't want to teach somebody. You want them to come with their own fire. I was also having this conversation yesterday.
So, yeah, that's the camp that I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm just like, once you're past a certain age, like, you should have some skills in the bedroom. Like, I should not have to teach you. Like, I don't know if you and I had this conversation before, but, like, I, like, refuse to have sex with, like, guys that I know that are virgins. Because, like, you have to teach them everything. I don't have time for that. I need you to come, like, with a resume and with references. Like, I need to know that you don't need on-the-job training. You know, I need you to just, like, jump right in and handle the business.
That's what it's about right there. But you know off the bat whether a guy or girl is going to handle business or you're gonna need some OJT. You know, like, I think you can tell in conversations and in kissing. If the kissing isn't there, then, you know, I think everything else is like, oh, shit, here it goes, you know? It all starts from there, you know? You gotta set it up. But
you know what? That's a good point.
Yeah, at this point in my life, when I'm first kissing a girl, actually, sometimes I can see it. I can look at a girl, oh, yeah, that's a good one. Or I can look at a girl and be like, oh, shit. Maybe, but, you know. It takes time, though.
That's what I need to do from now on. Do the kissing test, and if the kissing isn't there, then... Yeah.
If he doesn't grab the back of your neck, he's like, don't worry about it. You know, like, get out, you know, it's down here from there. You know, if he's not choking the back of your neck, then don't worry about it. You know, so you need that passion in there. You need that. Then you can go from there.
No, that's a great point. Now I know.
Now you know. So yeah. Just go out there right now. Just look for the first guy you see. Just take him, kiss him. Is you good? Then you take him to bed.
I'm actually like, I'm trying to like remember like all the guys that I have slept with, and the ones that is so true. The ones who were really good kissers were really good in bed.
I'm telling you.
Like, my mind is actually blown right now.
Well, I don't know why you didn't talk about this. I could have told you this shit a long time ago.
Well, now I know. Like, you are all knowing in this subject, so.
In the sex subject, I'm not. I wish. That would save me a lot of time. But, you know, a little bit there.
Mm. Oh man, I had this great analogy from the religion thing,
Hmm.
but now that it's past, it's just dumb. Man, I really wanted to use it.
I
Whatever.
think I think that sex can be a religious experience for some people.
Oh, yes, it
So
can be.
I think in that sense, religion's never out of it, right? So if you want to throw that analogy, I mean, it would still be something you can do.
No, I was gonna compare religion to eating meat, and I was just like, you don't need meat to survive. Like, yes, meat has a lot of good qualities, and yes, a lot of people enjoy it, but you don't necessarily need it. You can get your protein from other sources.
Hmm. That's true.
But I was trying to like really make a compelling argument for like why sometimes religion isn't needed, or why like some people don't need religion. Like they get their I guess like their self-worth, their being, their whatever, they get it from other sources. They don't have to be part of an organized religion to feel as if they are contributing to the world or have like a higher purpose.
Hmm.
And I was like, just like people who eat meat and vegetarians. I was like, yes, that is such a good comparison. But then I totally just like forgot about it, so screw it, whatever. So anyways,
But but also, I would agree that there are people that don't need that, but there are also people that do, right? So you kind of have to look at it from both sides. People that do need that, like that guy you went on a date with, who needs religion in his life to feel fulfilled or something. They actually do need that to sustain themselves. Maybe.
and I totally get that. No, there are people who absolutely need it, and I understand why they needed it.
Hmm.
I was that person who needed it, and then
Same.
I found a way to not need it. I found a way to get what I needed from other sources.
But also, was that a way? So would you have found those other sources without that initial source of, I guess, religion to sustain you to that point? I think for me, I was in a situation similar where like I was religious for a while and that was like a foundation for things that came later. Now I'm not as religious like I was then, but that set me at least in the correct course to where I can then project my life in a positive way. Like religion was the foundation for that. And later on, now I'm removed from that, but still, it set me in that course. So, maybe.
So to answer your question, maybe I would have, but since I was raised religious, like I don't know. But I totally agree, and I think there's something that I was reading a long time ago that talked about religion and how religion is a foundation, but that it's not necessarily needed in this day and age. Like it was a foundation for people a long time ago because they were starting communities, they were starting to have like these political systems and these checks and balances. So religion came into play to kind of really set the tone of how you should act and how you should treat other people. And it's like, well, now that we have all these, now that we know, we don't necessarily need religion as a whole, not individuals, but like as a whole, we don't need religion. And I was like, that's a good point, but I still see why people need it, and I don't hate or like judge people who need it. Like whatever is your vice in life, go for it. Whatever helps you to be a better person and not be like a shitbag, especially towards other people. Do you. I don't judge. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as you don't try to project your religious beliefs on me, we're gonna be fine.
On the first date.
But that was just like.
I will say this. Did I tell you? Was it last week? I went to a wedding for a guy I had just met the night before. He invited me to his wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool, super random. But he was like, "Hey, come to our wedding tomorrow," and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna fucking be there." He was like, "I'll look for you," and so I showed up the next day, went to his wedding, and the I guess the deacon or whatever, however, the guy up there that was giving the service, he was trying to draw parallels to the people falling out, or more and more people moving away from religion, and the increase in divorce and marriage. And I thought that was an interesting parallel that he drew. He's like, the farther we as a society move away from the religion, the less that pillar is there to support the marriage, you know. So I
So
just
you
thought
want
that
to
was
know my issue with that?
mm-hmm.
Is in most religions, like divorce is highly frowned upon.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you stay married doesn't mean that your marriage is a happy one.
Yeah.
It means that you stay because you're afraid of the retribution that your religion has placed on you.
Mm-hmm.
So like when people make that argument, it's like I see what you're trying to say, but you know, just saying that marriages fall apart because people aren't as religious, like that's not necessarily a correlation. You know, like correlation doesn't mean causation. So I can see the point you're trying to make, but that doesn't necessarily make it true. Like for me, it's now we have more options, or now we have, especially as women, like we know what our worth is, and we're working, you know, like we can make our own decisions. We're not as dependent on a guy, so we don't have to stay in a relationship that's shitty or abusive or unfulfilling anymore.
I think
because
you can't, like,
of the
tie
freedoms
all
that we
those.
have.
I think you can't tie like all those. You can't put like if you're unhappy in a relationship, then it's abusive or shitty. Like sometimes it can be other things, but also yes, you shouldn't be unhappy in a relationship. But also, I've seen marriages that were solely kept together because of what you said, religion keeping them together and like the taboo of getting a divorce. But also that those same couples then were in love again anew after, but it took that rocky period, and that stigma that we can't get divorced, that propelled them into like a deeper understanding of themselves. I think some of the happiest marriages that I've seen, at least outside looking in, have come from my friends that are religious, and I kind of envy that, being someone who isn't religious myself. So
yeah, and I wasn't trying to like wrap them all together, just because your relationship isn't good doesn't mean it's abusive, but just like unfulfilling too. I was just like, each one of those were like separate in itself.
So what I'm hearing you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we should take away all the women's right to choose or have opinions in order to make marriages successful again, right? That's just what I heard. I don't know. Maybe I took that.
That's what should happen.
So sexist.
I mean, but I just feel like also people, I don't know, it's different times. I don't know. I just don't think that you can say like religion is what held people together. But I'm like you, like I know people who are married that are religious and their relationship is like truly beautiful.
Man, I've seen that.
But I also know people who are married who aren't religious, and I won't say that their relationship is truly beautiful, but they have a good, healthy relationship and they know their boundaries. So I almost feel like religion does something to people where they show their maybe they show their affections differently. I don't know. But also I think I read somewhere a long time ago that the divorce rate between people who are religious and people who aren't religious are pretty much close to the same.
Neck and neck,
so
probably.
Who knows? Yeah. So who fucking knows?
So
it's all about
the moral of it is just don't fucking get married. I know couples that have been together for fucking ever that will never get married, and like those, I look at those and I'm like, oh fuck, that's what I want, like why do you have to get married?
Yeah.
Put a label on it.
I know. My old boss is that way. She's been with her. I mean, they're basically a common law marriage, but she's been with him for like 20 years, and they're doing fine.
Next episode, is marriage even needed anymore? Spoiler.
Man,
no.
I have.
Just kidding.
I was say I have so much to say about that. But anyways, so let's talk about the deep story that you turned me on to.
Ooh, yeah, turned you on to it.
Yeah, there you go. You did it.
So that, I don't know, can we give out, can we promote other podcasts on this podcast? It's NPR, right? I mean, it's not so bad.
Yeah, it's fucking NPR, and, who the fuck cares? Like, there are no rules in podcasting.
So, NPR, they have this podcast called The Hidden Brain, and there's a lot of interesting topics. I think it's a weekly podcast. Really cool. If you haven't subscribed, you probably should. They're not really that long, 20, 30 minutes. But they were talking about how, I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't listened to it since I sent it to you, but pretty much how this woman, she moved from Berkeley, California, right, to, it was, I guess, more of a liberal city, to the deep South, right? to I believe a parish in Louisiana. So because she wanted to remove herself from people that are like-minded to see what the other side sees, right? Someone who is politically different from her. So I thought that that was kind of interesting parallels that she draw, and that's why I sent it to you to see if you can understand the plight of the lower income, or as they quote unquote call uneducated white person. So were you able to see where they're coming from also?
Yes. I can see where they're coming from. And again, I feel like that is the curse of being who I am. Like, I can understand other people's plights even if I don't necessarily agree to them. And one thing in this podcast that she used to kind of describe how they felt was, you know, like if you're standing in line and you're, you know, like you got there when you were supposed to, and you're standing in line and you're being patient as the line slowly moves, and then you see people cutting in line in front of you. Yeah. And then the people who are supposed to watch the line are like basically encouraging these people to cut in front of you. And you're just like, hey, I've been here. I've been doing what I was supposed to do. I haven't gotten any extra help, but yet you're allowing these people to cut in line before me. And it's like, you know, when she used that analogy, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, if I was used to something for so long and then something new came and kind of took my place or was put in front of me, like, I feel a little disenfranchised too. I feel a little slighted. And also, when I was thinking about this, I was in the shower, and so for whatever reason, a football analogy kind of came to mind. And so I was thinking, okay, so what if you have this guy who was like a beloved quarterback? Everyone knew him. Everyone thought he was like the greatest thing in the world. And he had a son. So his son is also playing football, and his son is like not exactly mediocre. Like, he's a good football player, but not like standout football player. Okay. But, you know, because everybody knows his dad, you know, like they're willing to take a chance, and, you know, basically he sees, you know, a little preferential treatment, but not much. But he is a good player. You know, like, he's not necessarily carrying the team, but he's definitely standing out. And so, like, you're this good football player. You're the son of a famed football player. And then this new kid comes to school, and he missed tryouts for football, but his family made a big stink saying, hey, you know, just give him a shot. Just let him try out and see what happens. If he makes it, he makes it. So the coach is like, okay, yeah, in order to be fair, let's give this guy a shot. Guy tries out for the football team. He turns out to be pretty good. Maybe even better than the old football player that everyone, you know, loves and loves his dad. So, like, now this kid is seeing, you know, like, the plays that he wanted to do. Now this other guy's in here. Or, you know, like, the people who were cheering him on are now cheering this other guy on. So it's like, I can see how he would feel slighted because he put in work to make the team what it is, and then here comes somebody else that is getting some playtime as well. So I don't feel bad for them, but I can see why they would feel that way. And so, like, for me, it kind of resonated. This story resonated with me because, yes, times are changing and it kind of benefits minorities, but there's going to come a time when minorities are going to see all these benefits, and then something else is going to come along. You know, like, maybe, I don't know, like, whites become the minority, and then, like, there has to be special provisions in place to help the whites out. And then, like, all the previous minorities are going to feel slighted. So they almost feel like it's like a cycle, or it could become a cycle. But I thought it was very interesting. So, like, I applaud her for, like, going out to talk with people who don't share her views. So I'm kind of like you. Like, I want to get her book because I want to see what she has to say. And again, like, white people tears, whatever. Like, I don't feel bad for you. But I just think, like, if it were me, like, how would I feel?
Yeah, I definitely could. And actually, when you sent me that, I kind of wasn't expecting that response. But at the same time, I thought about that. I was like, okay, yeah, I can understand definitely where they're coming from. But also, I feel, and I actually sent this to a few people, and it was interesting seeing everyone's kind of feedback. but one of my friends was also like, if you send a resume, right? If you seen three of the exact same resumes to a company, and one is like Tyrone, one's Will, and one's Juan, which one is gonna be more likely to get called back? And the argument that she was making also was racism is still alive. Like that's those kind of stereotypes or preferences are still there. So these things are still needed, even though some people feel slighted in a way. Maybe that it's still prevalent out there. So these are put in place just for situations such as that.
Yeah, and I agree with them. Like, I thought that affirmative action was actually a good thing. Like, I know some people are like,
because
but you have someone. Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I have benefited from it too. Like in my jobs, because usually I'm like the only black person in my job, so I'm like, man, this has to be like like remnants of affirmative action. They're like, oh man, we got to put some diversity up in here.
God, it's so good being a minority sometimes. It's so good. I love
it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really is good, and then sometimes it's not.
And sometimes you get pulled over. Damn it.
But yeah, so like, I agree that these things should be in place, because also like when you think about like her cutting the line analogy, I so much don't think of it as people like getting a free pass. I just think of it as kind of corrective action. Like, well, these people weren't allowed to be in the line in the first place. Like if they were, then they wouldn't have to cut in line too.
Sure,
so like, so I think about that too. So I don't know. I think it's just like a checks and balances thing, and like the people who are adversely affected, like they don't like it, but it's like, well, you've gotten preferential treatment like your whole life, and now you kind of know what it feels like. So oh fucking well, deal with it. But
and I think those sentiments are like, they started there, but they're being echoed bigger and bigger, and maybe that's why Trump has been so successful lately. I first heard that not too long ago. Actually, before that story, I heard I was at this bar and met this cat, who just happened to be a white cat, talking about it, and of course racism and politics and everything. He wanted to give opinions, right? So I'm sitting there listening to him, and he was kind of saying the same thing. He was pretty much giving that same analogy. He's like, hey, I'm doing what I have to do over here. And it's not fair that other people can come into this country and take jobs and blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at him like, dude, do you really want to cut lawns? Like, for $5 an hour? I don't think so, But that was his argument, like these people are coming over here getting jobs, getting whatever they want, and he's just stuck in the back, going further and further back, which is one of the topics that they hit on in the deep story, is how they're getting further and further back from, and they feel they shouldn't be. And like you said, I could definitely see that their side of the argument for that also. But being a minority, I benefit from that also, from that line cutting. So
yeah. Oh man, this is a good conversation.
I like it. Yeah. I didn't know if we had time to hit that one, but I was hoping we did, because it was pretty good. I enjoyed that story, and like I said, if anyone's interested, it's NPR's Hidden Brain. It was the deep story, and she also, I believe, has a book that's coming out or is out, and pretty good.
Yes. And if you don't listen to NPR, you totally should.
Oh, NPR's so good sometimes. I
know, it's like where I get 90% of my news from. And the one thing that I love about NPR is that they have these stories that you wouldn't hear on like regular news channels, like these really interesting human interest pieces. I'm like, wow, it's so thoughtful.
For sure. I think they have like a lot of really good shows. Some of my favorite ones are actually on the weekend. They have the Moth Radio Hour, and sometimes they go to Austin and Houston. And if anyone has a chance, I would say to watch one. It's kind of like a poetry slam almost, but it's people, and there's usually a topic each time, and they just give these long stories, and some of them are so beautiful. One time I was just sitting in my garage, just like waiting for the show to end for like 20 minutes because I didn't want to like miss the story. So they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They call them driveway moments. If anybody has seen Portlandia, they had a topic on that. When NPR is so good you can't get out of your car, driveway moment. Been there.
All right, so that's gonna do it for us for this week's episode. Again, if you like the show, make sure you subscribe and like us on iTunes or Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there for your ears, you know? So
For them ear holes.
do it. For them ear holes. We're here for it. We're here for it all. And if you know someone who hasn't heard our podcast, why don't you tell them to download it and stop being lame? Because only lame people don't listen to us talk.
Right. I blasted this out on my Snapchat. I blasted the last episode out on my Snapchat. And then I got one of my friends, like, sending me, like, very sexist memes, which I love. Like, yeah, bro. Fuck yeah. Gender inequality is real. Stop male-affecting. Oh, so good.
Oh, my goodness. Anyways, so we are social. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at notyour_queen. And if you have any question for us, be sure to shoot us an email at rogerthatpodcast@gmail.com. That's it. I'm out.
Have a good one.
Bye.